What's up, viewers and listeners? My name is Jay. I'm a registered nutritionist based here in Bristol, working with BJJ enthusiasts across the globe, helping jiu-jitsu practitioners perform to their best ability on the mat, whilst making sure they're not doing anything stupid with their weight cuts. On today's episode, we had one of the Tackett brothers, Andrew. Andrew is the middle brother between William and Caleb, is a black belt under Rodrigo Cabral at Fight Factory in Austin, Texas. Last ADCC Open, he didn't just win his category, but the absolute two, weighing in at around 82 kg. Andrew famously submitted Big Dan in the Who's Next reality show and tournament and coming third place overall. He has placed first in Nogi Worlds twice, once at purple and at brown, and I'm sure a win at black belt will be on his hit list for future years. In this podcast, we covered some behind-the-scenes info at WNO and ADCC trials, some deep life moments, opinions on training, working with experts, and much, much more. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, if you're not subscribed, please click that button and turn on post notifications for further content updates. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening. And let's get into episode 28. Oos! Right, people, just a quick one. Since we started this podcast and the social media pages over 6 months ago, we have not advertised once to say we are open for business. But Jay, surely you're just a podcast. Well, technically, no. We are a nutrition consultancy first, podcast and social media platform second. So with that being said, we are looking to work with some jiu-jitsu people. Then if any of these apply to you, then we want to speak to you. Do you do jiu-jitsu and breathe air? Then we want to work with you. No, it's not as bad as that, I promise. But are you someone who wants to improve their performance on the mat? Drop down a weight category without having to starve themselves or be concerned about being in the wrong category and fighting people twice your size, right? Maybe you want to go up a weight category but struggle to put on weight. Or you just simply want one of the best jiu-jitsu nutritionist in your corner. Not a bodybuilder, not some PT, right? And not some online coach who lost weight themselves. A real qualified nutritionist who understands the jiu-jitsu process, making sure you are doing everything you should be correctly. So if any of those applies, then here we are. We have already helped people from hobbyists to people doing their first competition, to IBJJF Worlds, to the biggest shows in Europe like Grapple Fest. So to get in touch, go to our Instagram page or any other platforms you might follow us on. Drop us a message and we will book you in for a quick chat. Stop wasting time and let's make you into that gorilla you always wanted to be. Right, now you can enjoy the next episode. Oos. Right, guys, welcome to the BJJ Nutrition Podcast. We're on episode 27. My name is Jay. I host the BJJ Nutrition Podcast and also the BJJ Nutrition Consultancy. I'm joined here by today with the infamous...
Let's go.
Yes. Introduce yourself, fella. Who are you?
My name is Andrew Tackett. I'm from Texas in America. I train our Brazilian Fight Factory. I'm a level black sponsored athlete. I've been competing this year as a black belt, and I'm on the amazing podcast. Let's go.
Guys, obviously, we've kept this one a little bit hush-hush. Obviously, we've been probably harassing you with too many messages to see if you can be available. But as we're here, obviously, for the Grapple Fest show, where your brothers obviously compete. I know all your brothers, and you were supposed to be competing.
I was supposed, yeah.
Which is a shame, obviously, because again, your opponent, fantastic guy. You haven't ever fought Ellis before, have
No,
you?
never fought Ellis. I was watching a little bit on him before I had to pull out, and I was like, dang, this could be a sick fight. I was like, this could be so amazing. But yeah. It's
both very sort of similar styles as well in terms of it, and it was just like, again, I'm sure obviously we all talk about it as like fight fans and like people, is that sometimes you get these people who say to you like, who do you want to win? I'm like, I just want to watch the chaos unfold. I don't really care. Like,
the fans will win, you know?
Yeah, which is cool. So again, thanks obviously coming on here for me.
Yeah,
what I would suggest then for some of the viewers and listeners, as we know there's lots of awesome jiu-jitsu guys out there. Where did it all start? Where did it all begin? And yeah, how did you get into jiu-jitsu to begin with? Let's start with that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I mean, when I was younger, I was always interested, like when I'm talking younger, like 3-4 years old, I was always interested in like fighting sports, Bruce Lee movies, cool. Like Bruce Lee, like Eye of the Dragon, like those movies, like I always loved them. And, you know, Rocky movies, and my dad was like, hey, you know, Andrew, let's get you in like a fighting sport. Because at the time I was like playing soccer. My brothers my brother and my older sister were like dancing,
Yeah.
and so my dad's like, let's get you in a fighting sport. I said, let's not be dancers. So he got us in jiu-jitsu. We originally went there and it was a judo gym, and they did jiu-jitsu on the side, and it was also a wrestling gym, and it was at the gymnastics place. So it was like, we call it the Red Barn. It was like 10 things in one, and started training there till I was about like 12. We moved, trained there till I was like 14. Then we went to Fight Factory with Rodrigo, and just been like, blowing up since, as far as like realizing that I can do this as a career. And so yeah, it's been quite cool. Did it alongside my dad and my brothers my whole life.
Yeah.
So it's been a great way to keep us close. It's been sick.
It's really cool, especially as like, I don't know, infamous jiu-jitsu families, like,
Yeah.
well, okay, not ignoring like the Gracies and that kind of stuff, but like...
the Hoffa Mendez, Guy Mendez, Rotolo brothers, all the Gracies.
Exactly.
There's so many people that are just families that come up together.
How cool is that to know that you're going to be one of those known families as well? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
doing the best I can to make that happen,
Oh, man, like...
Leave the legacy of the Tackett name.
Well, I think, what was it? Was it someone else? Was it Will and the Rotolos was having a match? They were having a brother matchup? I think I saw something.
Yeah,
that
so
was it.
so one championship.
Yeah.
They found one championship, and we had a guy. He basically to try and create some not drama, but try and create some stir up and like try to get us fighting, which is what people are supposed to do. Yeah. He's like, hey, let's get Tolos versus the Tacketts, and I was like, yeah. I was like, we've always wanted that, and they've wanted that. It'd just be like a sick clash. And so yeah, that's definitely something that'd be cool in the future,
100%. It reminds me like a little bit. How can I put it? I know everyone's looked down upon the UFC being taken over by the owners of like WWE and that type of stuff, but that entertainment aspect, I think, if you want the sport to do well, and like this is no disrespect to like judo, for example, judo could be so much more further as a international sport if it had that little bit of like edge towards it, if that makes sense, that entertainment factor, and like having those like brotherly battles, you know what I mean, like the Rotolos versus the Tacketts.
I mean, I think it's honestly, it's essential for a company to bring the entertainment side of it like that in order for it to be successful. Because the entertainment is going to elevate the sport, and it's going to help the athletes one way or another. It's got the pain, all of that. So I think as for an athlete, I'm pushing towards the entertainment side of jiu-jitsu, really, because I know that's going to help me out and all of the other athletes out.
Massively. It's one of those things which I think, I know it gets frowned upon a little bit by others. It's like the purists, I think, I was like, oh no, we shouldn't be doing this. But I try and replicate other sport. Look at other sports, for example. Let's just take, I don't know, NFL, right? Yeah. You could have two cracking teams and no one score, right? And it would be like, oh, it's the worst match ever type of thing. Yeah. But there still will be like the home rivalry that will make that entertaining. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, it still needs to be there for the sport to grow. And that's it.
It's well said. Very well said. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's different audiences. I'm all of them. I'm a nerd, as far as jiu-jitsu. Not as much as some people are. Like my brother William, he studies way more than me. But watching the technical side of jiu-jitsu is great. Just watching the super tight, not really moving much, like technical battles, like inch by inch. Like it's really a masterpiece to see. But then it's also great just to see some people like hitting each other's foreheads and jumping on each other. So
exactly, just making it a bit more fun, a bit more enjoyable, just more like carefree. I think we all are aware that in jiu-jitsu you don't need to have that precious O, right? I know Craig Jones has kind of joked that Gordon will top himself once he loses his next match type thing, right? But at the same time, I think there's an element to it of like, just go out there and try. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? And I think that can be said across all spectrums of like your jiu-jitsu like level, from a white belt all the way to like the pro status. You know
I mean, as long as you go out there trying and you go out there with like a humble attitude, or not so much humble, but you go out there with like confidence and humility with that confidence. People always love you. Like everyone that's fought Gordon and lost, like people don't like hate him. Like they're not like, they're like, oh, kudos to you for trying, at least. Like if people that run from Gordon, then people start to hate them. They're like, oh, you're running from him.
It's one person I bumped into the last grapple match, Jacob Couch. Yeah. Obviously when he took Gordon on really short notice type of thing. Yeah. And like, again, massive size disparity, all that type of stuff. And I think at the time, Jacob was still only a brown.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago?
Exactly. Yeah. And so even then he wasn't at the like peak of his career.
Not at all.
He did fantastically well at trials.
Yeah,
do you know
he did.
what I mean? So again, it's, as you said, it's one of those things where you go out there.
Jacob's a really cool guy, man. I have a lot to say about him. I love him, you know. It's cool to see the ups and downs of his career, and he's just like loving it to see that he's on the up now, you know. It's so cool to see that. It's
good, especially obviously as fans and supporters of it all. It's just good to see all you guys just sort of going through the peaks and troughs and stuff like that. So, well, interesting question. Obviously, working through the jiu-jitsu spectrum, you're at the top end of the black belt level, which is obviously
I say middle. I'm not saying middle.
There's obviously levels to it all. Was there any moments within that jiu-jitsu career that you may have got sidetracked or maybe wouldn't have gone this like journey
Many
type
times.
of thing? Yeah,
many times. Yeah, I mean, I'm 20 years old. I was in my. I still get distracted, you know. But you know, a lot of things would distract me, like you know, just a bunch of things, you know. Girls, money, like possessions, like all that, like I'd want it. And so, yeah, it really like, you know, caught my mind, and then jiu-jitsu had kind of been on the back step, and then I'd be focusing more on other things than I would, you know, improving in jiu-jitsu. And so then, my career would take a little bit of a slouch, and I wouldn't be performing the best I could be. And yeah, I feel like, you know, recently, you know, this past year, or, you know, not even the whole year, that I've really like had a mindset of just like, I want to be the best. I want to be the best, and everything else can, you know, kind of can wait. Obviously, that I'm injured now, you know, like being the best is taking a back step for a little bit, and it's just like recover so that I can be the best that I can be. Because obviously, I can't be the best in the shape that I'm in now, but get back into that shape so I can be, you know.
No, that's cool. And what kind of brought you back to jiu-jitsu with those distractions, if you know what I mean? So they would have been there. Or, I know obviously you got the support of your brothers and your family, and I don't know, do you guys bounce off each other?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, being a brother to brother in jiu-jitsu, we've had a lot of like conflicts with each other. Like we're really close, and that makes us have conflicts. So William will say something to me, and that will hurt more than anyone else saying something. So that will bring me back, you know, because there's so much, not like pride, but so much like wanting to beat him and wanting to like be better than William, and him being the older brother. So when he says something, like impacts me so much. So if I'm like slouching, he'll be like, "What are you doing, Andrew?" And I'll just be like, I'll be like, I mean, you're so right.
That's deep.
Yeah, but no, what would like always bring me back from like when I would take my side quests is mainly just having a good family to push me and uplift me, and then just having like a good like a belief system, just like, you know, always finding my way back to church and just like focusing on what's important, and then using those things to motivate me back to jiu-jitsu, like back to the core source of what I'm wanting to do.
That's interesting. I think in the UK, especially when it comes to faith and stuff, obviously we're very multicultural. We've got everything going on.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of gents about it. It's really cool.
It's interesting, and it's the fact that I think a lot of people wouldn't. I don't think they would rely as much. I think from the UK perspective, wouldn't rely on their faith as much to get them back into it, and it's the focus of sort of like, again, trying to better themselves and try and focus on that, but obviously having that ability. Myself, my best man lives in Fort Worth, Dallas. So he's told me about, obviously, you see some of the mega churches and stuff like that.
Yeah, big churches,
Jesus, this is mental. Like,
it's like 4,000 people consider it,
And it's like, oh, you're part of that community. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They all look after each other, and they all want everyone to do well and prosper type thing. And obviously, I don't think we have anything close to that.
Yeah, well, I don't think, you know, across the world, doesn't matter what you believe. It's as long as you are willing to stand for it, but not, you know, obviously push it on people, but you're willing to stand for it, and when you fall, lean on it. Lean on those beliefs. And that's what, you know, going to church has done for me a lot. When I like fall, I can lean on like good people and like good morals, and then that will build me back up to where I'm ready to better myself in jiu-jitsu again. Because if my head's not straight and my mind's not straight, it's really hard to better myself in jiu-jitsu because I'm worried about so many other things other than improve, you know? So
out of the competing career, obviously you probably got out there pretty early on and got yourself
6 years old.
Exactly. Was it always wins, and that's all you ever did, or did you have any losses or any loss streaks at all?
No, I had some battles with some kids, man.
Yeah,
I mean, competing since 6 years old, first off, people say your prime's in your 30. If I started competing at 20, my prime would be in my 30. You know, I think, you know, people are like, oh, wait until you're like 40 years old. It's like, I have as much mileage as some like 40-year-olds do as far as like training and competing. Like, I'm beat up, man. I'm 20. No, I'm kidding. I feel great. But, you know, has been competing super long for a long time, countless competitions. In the beginning of my career, I would win, and then I'd lose, and then I'd win. Is in Texas, jiu-jitsu is so small, and so I only had like 5 kids that I would compete against. Like in every, so I like still know their names. Not a lot of them, pretty much none of them compete anymore except.
Destroyed them.
Yeah. What's up?
You destroyed them.
They would beat me too. Like this one kid, like Freddie, he's a wrestler now. This one kid, Joshua, he's he doesn't do jiu-jitsu anymore. He's doing his own thing in college. We have this one kid from Rice Bros. I forget his Mario. He beat me at Pans twice, kids Pans, and then I used to fight against the Rotolo brothers, so they've come up too. So I had a lot of people, and then a kid that I used to fight actually fought Cody. Cody suplexed him at trial.
The same guy.
That was the kid that Cody suplexed. I was like, dang, I remember you. His name was John Abney. So like all these kids I fought with as a kid, like I've got to see them take different career paths, and from 6 years old, I've got to see them take different career paths, or some of them stick with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So it's like, it's super cool to see like where I've come from and what I could have done, and like, where I could have gone. So that was really sick to be able to see all that.
I just got that image that you mentioned about the guy you knew that Cody obviously suplexed. It's the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from, what's it called, Wolf of Wall Street, where he sat on the sofa and he starts pointing at it like that.
Yeah.
He's like, I know that guy.
That's me, that's it.
I know that guy. What's that going on?
Yeah. No, I was like, you're fighting that guy, Cody? I was like, he's a good wrestler. I was like, he's a scrapper. And Cody just suplexed him. I was like, poor kid.
Honestly, that little moment, I have a bit of an ongoing joke that a lot of the ADCC trials, especially in America, they just want, I'm sure, have you been to any pubs around here yet at all? Or the carpet, if you look at the carpet, right, that's what the venue at ADCC trials looks like.
It's literally like cement carpet.
Yeah, and it's the case where I said that all the highlight videos are just 2 guys rolling around on the carpet.
I want puzzle mats. I want there to be puzzle mats off the mats. I really want to push for that because I love off the mat action. Yeah. Because then it doesn't, there's nothing I hate more than if I'm in like a Worlds or a Pans and I shoot a double leg, and then I take the guy down out of bounds, and then we walk back in and I get an advantage. And then I shoot it, and then he's just playing the outside and circling towards the outside, and I'm tracking him. Like in the UFC, if you track them, they meet a cage. And then now you're just battering them. So like I hate that someone can just play the outside, and you just follow them the whole round. And finally, they're running from you-ish, and then you kind of just finally engage, and then they just run out of bounds. So I love the fact of ADCC that it keeps going out of bounds until a position, but I wish there was like puzzle mats because I don't want to hit my head on the cement.
Or a chair or something like that.
Yeah, because I've gone out of bounds before and it's rough. Like I had like knee burns super bad from the carpet and like elbow burns and like the sweat was burning. I was like, this sucks.
Actually, I was really surprised and taken back by the fact you said there wasn't much like people to compete with in Texas, being the biggest state out there, it's obviously to Alaska basically. And not having that, I would have thought it would have been fueled for a step. But I appreciate, obviously, there's probably more in California than there is there. But that just surprised me. So, with that competing career at a young age, at what point did you feel that, hey, I can now take this a little bit more, not say seriously, so you would have done it the best, but had that switch?
I would say I always knew I wanted to do it. My parents always pushed me to go towards competition. My mom wanted me to go to college and pursue more of a jiu-jitsu, but pursue more of a business side of jiu-jitsu. My dad wanted me to pursue whatever I wanted, so my parents were always supportive of jiu-jitsu. And then around like 14, I said, was when I was like, oh man, I'm doing this for my life, I was like a blue belt. I won like, I believe it was Juvenile Worlds in the gi, and I was like, and then that year I won Nogi Worlds, and I was like, oh man, I can do this. And so, and then I was like tapping black belts at like tournaments and stuff, and I was like, dang, okay. I was like, okay. And so then I started like focusing a little bit more on like pursuing my career.
If you don't mind me asking, with your parents and stuff being quite supportive of it, if Will hadn't taken the same sort of route as you, do you think they would have been a bit more hesitant on not pushing you down the academia like route?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, William definitely. So William blew up when I was a blue belt. He blew up a little bit, and then he got injured really bad and kind of took a step back, and now he's kind of blowing up again. He got injured really bad, so it knocked him out for like almost like 2 years. Like he got hurt, and then he came to the ADCCs got hurt again, the ADCCs. like that whole year was terrible for William, but he's coming back healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, William kind of boosted that for me and gave me like a path. He's an older brother. I thank him for that. Mentally, all the time. I never do it physically because I don't want to make him too cocky. But yeah, no. If William didn't prove that we could do it, then yeah, I'm sure my parents would have been a little less supportive in that sense. But they were like, oh shoot, you guys can for sure do it. But I can't really take it away from them because my parents are so cool. They probably would believe in me in anything that I did.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's really cool having parents like that. And I hopefully one day I get to be a parent like that to my kids. Far down the line. But yeah.
Cool, man. I think it's interesting because there's a lot of, as we all know, there isn't loads of money in jiu-jitsu.
No.
Right? You have to do like a lot of extra things, obviously, outside that to try and make that more supportive of your lifestyle type of thing. And I think there's a lot of young guys and girls who want to make that their living and think it's like the be-all and end-all type of stuff. And obviously, again, it's trying to find that mechanism and having, I think there's quite a few fantastic athletes, even outside of jiu-jitsu, who didn't have that supportive network and had to really persist on it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm so fortunate to live in America, to have the opportunities that, Flow Grappling and other companies push for in America. The coverage is just so good out there. Every time I've traveled out of country to like Mexico, Japan, or even here in UK, I see that some athletes are just fantastic. Like I roll with them and see them roll. And I'm like, bro, you're like freaking amazing. And they're like, yeah, I just don't really get to show that, because they don't have the social media platforms pushing them, and that's one thing William and I always had opportunity to was that. So I'm very thankful to also have that in my life because that helped a lot.
It's kind of two sides to the coin, right? Because there's social media platforms. There's about a good 8 to 10 platforms, all for free, that you can push yourself on. Right?
Yeah.
So it's taking advantage of it, because I'm sure you've come across athletes before who don't utilize it and begrudge it and just think, why should I even bother with this? And also then more in the same breath complain about why do I not get these opportunities? And it's like, gone are the days that, I don't know, Dana White or, I don't know, Mo goes hunting through, I don't know, the favelas of Brazil to find this mysterious jiu-jitsu person. Do you know what I mean? They're going to pick it up from what they see on social media.
For an example, Baby Shark.
Yep.
Fabricio Andre.
Yeah.
I was seeing them compete at like Worlds and stuff when they were like green belts, when they were like blue belts, but no one knew them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I don't know who exactly it was, but maybe Ricardo or Hollywood Mike or one of them, they went out there and they were just like bringing them in to compete in America. And then they exploded. And then they won trials, and then they were in the ADCCs, and then Diogo won ADCCs. And it's just like so many people have that opportunity to be the best. They just really need to believe in themselves and push and go and compete with the best in America, because America, has the big shows, or get on Grapple Fest or Polaris or these big tournaments in the UK. So yeah, I had people believing in me and I believed in myself, so that really is what helps me elevate.
No, that's good. Obviously, being BJJ Nutrition, we're going to talk a little bit about a bit about diet and stuff like
Eating
this.
Eating donuts and cake every night, gets you swole.
She gets all the gains. Obviously, the one question that I say to everyone is that we're in a sport where we have to make weight.
Yeah.
Right. And my biggest argument is being a registered nutritionist. I know you've used other nutritionists and dietitians before, which is fantastic to see. That is a very big statement we've sort of held on the show, is that you don't know what you don't know type thing.
No, exactly.
And the idea being is that, hey, I'd come for you for advice on armbar escapes, because obviously of your expertise in doing that, you know what you're doing.
And you know what you're doing with nutrition.
Exactly. Oh, I like to think so, at least. And so the idea being is that when it comes to understanding how to move your weight up and down, you're obviously competing from a young age.
Yeah.
What was the ethos? Was the push from the gym? Was it from the parents to compete at a certain weight? And where did they want you to be with your weight? Have you always gone under? Have you always
never cut.
Never cut.
Yeah, my parents never wanted me to cut, and my professors always never wanted me to cut because they knew that I was going to be doing it for a very long time and I was going to have a long career, and so they didn't want me stunting my growth at a young age, so they would just compete at the weight you're walking around at and get as big as possible. My first major cut was for a fight to win. I did like 10 pounds, and then that was like my first cut. And then my second cut was for, Worlds, I did like 12 pounds, and then after that, then I cut for ADCC trials. I cut 30 something pounds, and then I said to myself, I'm not cutting again until I get about 24, 25, or like 23, like right in there, just because I want to get bigger. I feel I have the perfect length and body type for 77, so I want to get to about 83 kilograms, 84 kilograms. And cut from there to 77.
Nice.
And I'm not there yet. I walk around like 79 kilograms.
Okay.
So
got a little time to grow.
Yeah, got some. And apart from taking stuff to get big, it's quite hard to gain weight sometimes. Like chicken, rice, like all the supplements you can get.
Yeah.
Just like you can gain weight actually pretty easily if you just stick to a very good regimen.
It's being consistent.
Yeah.
And it's the same.
Consistency is king, yeah.
Honestly, with everything in life, and I try and say this so that you want to be good at, I don't know, let's say graphic design, right?
Yeah.
You start drawing. Yeah. Draw really consistently and keep doing it until you get, like, you've got it all coming out your ears and eyes and this type of stuff, and you'll be good at it by the end of it. So
yeah, I brought creatine out here. Because I'm creatine loading, and so I was like, man, I don't want to go to the UK and stop creatine for 2 weeks because I have to be on it, for 3 months and then get off. And so it's like, I'll just bring it out here and just keep taking it,
Exactly. Do you know what, the biggest thing I say to any of our clients that we got traveling, I'm like, take it in the packaging, right? Yeah. Don't take clear plastic bags full of white powder, right? It's never going to go well.
It looks like, it don't look right.
No, it doesn't.
The TCA is like... Can we test that real quick? You miss your flight.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you tell them that it's creatine or anything like this, they're still going to look at you like, yeah, no, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, it's one of those little things with that. But it's interesting to see that from a young age, it's always the case of walk around weight, which is fine. And I think just for our viewers and listeners, just to understand that when you're saying that you're cutting from X to B, A to B type of thing, that's not just on the week of the fight, I presume.
No, that's like 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out.
You're working towards it type of thing and stuff like this.
You're getting comfortable training at that weight.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is, unfortunately, where we get crossover from other sports, obviously martial arts as a whole, jiu-jitsu is part of that statement, right? And we get day before weighing procedures where people can do 15.
They're like, oh, I just won't eat that whole day and the day before and just not drink water and cut salt. It's like, you're going to be lethargic when you fight.
Exactly. And the problem being is that we pick information from people from other sports because, unfortunately, from a research standpoint, I've spoken to other nutritionists about this. Yeah. We don't have a pool of like 100 jiu-jitsu athletes who want to be happily tested to see how rehydration works. Yeah. Right? Because
what their levels are.
Yeah, we can't do it. So we have to pick it up from other sports which kind of do it in some aspects of it, being like judo, being like wrestling, being that, whatever it could be, and then use that information as a point of like reference to kind of say, well, these guys kind of do it. And well, again, big up to Lindsay. She's known as the female fight nutritionist. She's based in Ireland, and her argument is that there's no studies done on women, and that's even more complicated with their hormonal profile. Yeah. And it's like, well, this water loading works for men, but what about women? And I'm like, I feel sorry for her because there is nothing out there.
Yeah, I mean, the people that do the best job cutting is like bodybuilders, but they don't have to perform. They just have to flex.
They have to flex.
It's like, we don't want to look good. We want to perform good.
Exactly.
And there's not a lot of people that, do that.
No.
Wrestling is like probably that biggest sport that does it raw. And they're just like, get into it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, the interesting thing is that I've done some other sports which are very close, obviously have weight cutting procedure, and the weirdest one to this day, obviously, and I was like, wow, this is actually quite similar to wrestling because they compete every weekend, and it is tug of war. Yeah. Professional tug of war. They weigh in as a team, right? Yeah. And there's like an ultimate, I don't know, let's just say it's like 500 kilograms, right? You got I don't know, 8 people in the team. It makes no difference who's that, and they all cut weight the day before, and they compete every single weekend. And I said, guys, like with some of them, what they're doing is like 10% of their body weight week in, week out. I'm like, you are just killing yourselves.
You're gonna get injured. You're everything, your tendons and stuff is dehydrated. They're gonna snap.
Yeah, it's gonna snap. And, you're not gonna perform well, which is really frustrating. But when obviously you had that structure, obviously by the fact that you would do it X amount of weeks out, which is a really big ticket.
Yeah.
Where did you source that guidance and that information to begin with? Was that your own research? Is that what William had done? Or
Cody gave it to me. Cody gave me a nutritionist.
Nice.
He's one of a nutritionist for a couple of UFC fighters.
Wicked.
And he just wrote me a plan, and I didn't follow the plan exactly because I was.
You guys know.
Yeah.
None of the clients ever do, mate. So it's fine. There's nothing new there.
But I cut the weight and did like a 4-pound water cut, which wasn't too much.
No.
Because I know people are like, they're like 225 pounds, like 90 kilograms, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna do a 10-pound water cut. You can do that, you're huge. But it's like me, if I was cutting to 145, I couldn't do a 10-pound water cut. It's like you have to do a percentage of your body.
It's a statement I say to people is that you need something in you to be able to take it away, right? And so if we take advantage of fiber loading, carbohydrate loading, water loading, and I can't do those loading phases if there's nothing in there in the first place. And so it's another big step.
Fiber loading sucks. I hate the fiber. And then cutting the fiber, it's just like, I can't go to the restroom.
Yeah. It's a struggle when people say to me like, oh, I can't go to the toilet. I'm like, just hold on. Just
take a shot of caffeine.
Take a shot of caffeine. Hold on, it's only a couple more days, you'll be fine. Type thing. You'll be fine. But again, you need to be able to, before you can cut these things out, they need to be in you in the first place. And that's what I try and explain to people because I get inquiries. It will be like, the week of a fight, right? Can we cut all this out? I'm like, well, what have you been eating before? And I'm like,
regular.
And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Like, this is, I'll do my best.
Your body doesn't have enough.
It's
like if you cut.
It's just,
No, like we were talking about water loading earlier. And it's like, oh, I drank like 3 liters today, and then I'm gonna cut from that. It's like you for like 3 days, you should be drinking like so much where you're peeing like every 10 minutes. And then you go down from there. So your body's like, oh, he's giving us water. No, he's not. But we're going to keep suspending it. It's like if you never gave it in the first place, it doesn't know to cut it. So
I do laugh at some of the younger jiu-jitsu guys that ask about water loading. I've helped them at my local club, and they're like, "I'm peeing all the time. What's going on here?" I'm like, "Oh, bless you. You have no idea. This is normal." Like,
I would be teaching kids class, and I would just be like, "Hold on."
I need to go again.
They're like, "I gotta go again."
So that's good. So you actually. What started that conversation between you and Cody? Did Cody just
Cody was cutting for a fight, so he was like, "Hey, I got a nutritionist," and so he was like, and so I reached out to her, and she was a bit busy, so she gave me she gave me a friend, and so I used him, and
that's really lucky. Like, not to say it's lucky in the sense of that, but it's this barrier to entry, which I find some people. Especially, and I'll be open about it, I get some pushback from some coaches in MMA, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, whatever it could be, who feel like I'm stepping on their turf, if that makes sense, and they're on their toes because I'm trying to help them, if that makes sense, or their fighters.
I mean, you should be there to get helped.
And so the idea being is that it's quite interesting to see that you reached out to the right people at the right time, and obviously that would have contributed to the results that you've got so far, which is really good. And so the hard thing for me sometimes is trying to say, look, I'm not here to belittle you. I'm not here to lower your worth in the slightest bit. It's to take a stress away from you, right? You don't have to worry about what your fighters are weighing in now. Like, we're here just to support you. And if there's anything that I'm saying that you don't agree with, then just communicate.
A quick word about one of our sponsors, Grapplers Soap. The team wanted to find, the best possible defense against skin infections, which normally we get from each other or off the mat. This, in turn, led Dan and the team into researching more about soaps and essential oils, which turns out has been used for thousands of years, actually, as a natural defense against infection during the plague. Slightly twisted story here, but grave robbers in England knew of the power of essential oils and smothered themselves in it before exhuming and stealing corpses. Useless fact of the day for you there. But Dan and the team had tried several soaps before, but none of them just simply wowed them. So he started to make his own. Months more research, trial and error led to finally this golden nugget, Grapplers Soap, which you'll be pleased to know the recipe is CPR registered and approved by pharmacists. The use of a specific method to lock in the amazing natural smell, no cheap fragrances used here, which means the soap and use smell great and stand the best chance of staying healthy. Although the the soap was developed for grapplers alike, it is now widely being used by non-grapplers. And Dan is always delighted to hear from customers about how it's cleared up dry and itchy skin, or relieved eczema, or just simply made you feel awesome. The smell alone has been a massive hit with men and women alike. So enough waffle for now. Go and get yourself some now at www.mrbassets.com, or go check out their Instagram page for some very funny memes at Grapplers Soap. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, well, I think as a fighter, you should be purely focused on fighting.
Yeah.
Like your mind shouldn't be, because man, you should save zero. You should have zero stress. You should have a zero adrenaline dump. You should have zero energy suspension leading up to the fight. And if you're worried about this, and this, it's like that's gonna take away from your performance. You should have people that are doing that for you, so that you don't have to worry and you can trust in them. And then so that all you're worried about is smashing. And that's how I like to think of it, because I've done it a lot of times where I was like cutting, or I was like didn't know, and I was just like winging it, and I was so stressed out, and it just zapped me. It just killed my energy. And then I fought, and I just didn't feel 100. Instead of just being like, the weight's going good. I'm doing what they're got me on. It's I feel great. I'm not worrying, and it makes it happen.
It's interesting you say that you get other people to try and help you, and that also translates to like businesses as well.
Yeah.
Right. You've got the guys, the one-man band, trying to do everything, his own marketing, his own building work, his own whatever it could be, and it's kind of having that conversation of saying, look, we're not discrediting you. Go and get some help from other people. Go and get yourself a personal assistant. Go and get yourself a marketing specialist. And you'll then find that the majority of the time, if that business is done correctly, they're going to scale, and they're going to become huge and massive and do really, really well. And you take that as in terms of like an athlete point of view, right? You could then reach out to an S&C specialist, which you may already have. I don't know. Do you have an S&C guy at all, or girl, a strength and conditioning specialist at all?
No, sir. No, I reach out to people on Instagram.
There we go.
And they give me advice.
So again,
I get free advice. It's like, hey, what should I do for this? Like, I'll send you some YouTube videos. And I'm like, sick. It's definitely something I'm looking into.
But again, you've gone and expanded that to try and help with it. And it may be the sense, obviously, with the business you're involved, obviously Level Black and that type of stuff. In that sense, it's like they're not just a one-man band just trying to do everything themselves.
No, they invest in their athletes. And their athletes invest in them, and then they bring up the company together.
Exactly.
It's like, I love Level Black clothes, and I love what they've done for me, and I'm sure they appreciate what I do for them. And and if it was just them in the beginning, they would be nowhere. And if it was just me, we still would be nowhere. It's like you need so many different athletes representing it for it to come up.
Exactly. No, it's interesting to see that. So with that young experience type of thing, that's really obviously good to hear from there. Was there any sort of bad experiences with sort of diet and stuff? Obviously, you've always fought around walk around weight, and obviously you've cut weight sometimes. Have you ever picked the wrong weight category?
No, for sure. I mean, I fought too much up in weight because I was like bulking, and I was like, I'll just fight at my bulking weight rather than just leaning down a bit. And that was always a mistake, because the guys were way bigger cutting to my weight, the weight that I was bulking up at. And that was never a good experience. So, I mean, I at least always cut a little bit. I always cut, like, I said walk around weight. I would always like cut sugars and cut fats and cut fibers, and just like lean down as much as possible and keep that protein and keep my muscles strong and hydrated. And then like 4 pounds, 5 pounds, and just like get shredded and lean. So I'm like fast and accurate. But that's like, I don't consider that cutting. I just consider that leaning. So I'd always like lean down. But worst decisions was fighting at my bulking weight, and that was not good.
It's a hard day in the office, probably. Being like smashed in side control all of a sudden, going like,
just like, I thought it was strong. I felt strong.
It's all good. Oh, that's interesting. One topic I want to kind of bring up, because I've spoken to a few people about this, and it always interests me. So you look at any other sport, they all have it, right? But for whatever reason, jiu-jitsu doesn't, and you might disagree with this. And that is an off season.
No, jiu-jitsu doesn't really have off seasons. Athletes just compete year round, and that's terrible. It's like you have to pick and choose. Like,
and if you get an injury all of a sudden,
that's an off season. It's like, and you should be taking off seasons to not get injuries, like UFC fighters and stuff. So I'm like in off season now because of an injury, and that's really taught me that. It's like, wow, I was just competing like all year long, and I competed from like December till like until I got injured, and I was just going hard and training, and I was just like, I would take rest like after tournaments. I would take like 2-3 weeks off, like 2 weeks off.
Really off-season,
It's not
no.
off season. Off season's like 3 months, 4
Yeah.
months, like really letting your body heal and like building up what you tore down,
Yeah.
like physio, like, you know, therapy, and like really building and like starting from like the basics of lifting again and building back up. Because in training camp, you don't want to try anything new. You only want to do what is comfortable and what's giving you results. And, you know, a lot of times in training camps, you know, I'll go work out something, they're like, hey, try this. I'm like, no, I'm going to do what I'm doing. I have a fight in a couple of weeks. I don't want to get injured. And I was just always doing that because I was always like, oh, I got another fight. I don't want to get injured. I got another fight.
Yeah.
But like really like right now I'm like exploring so much and able to learn so much more because I'm not worried about a fight coming up.
Yeah.
And that's really taught me that that is extremely important. And I believe athletes are getting a bit smarter of that. Like I talk to a lot of guys like my brother Isaac and things, and they're like, oh man, after this Grapple Fest, I have, combat, and then I'm just taking an off season for like 3 months, and then I'm training for trials. And it's like, you know, I'm like, that's good. It's like what you should do. And some people would be like, oh, that 3 months, oh, I could get like a who's number one fight on that, or a fight to win fight, or, you know, or a fight in UK or Brazil. And it's like, you should be kind of resting in that period.
Yeah.
So, you know, this injury was much needed. Like it's not like career changing, but it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot of, you know, your body isn't Superman and you can't just keep building it, beating it up and building it up at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to do physical therapy in my training camp. Like at the same time, like I was like, okay, today's physical therapy and I train tonight. And then I go get a sports massage tomorrow and then I lift weights. And then it's so hard to manage all of that. And it's really just confusing your body and what your body's trying to do. Like, so yeah, this has taught me a lot, thankfully.
I think it's something I'd probably, again, my voice alone is not going to get this changed from IBJJF standards or ADCC in that sense of like having an off season, because in the UK especially at the moment, we've got a real big problem where there's a tournament, not necessarily major level, but a local tournament happening every single weekend. And so now the pools of people where, I don't know, people talk about 10 years ago, there'll be like 1 or 2 shows every 2 months, which everyone will go to, right? And everyone will travel all the way to this one show in the UK type of thing on that day to go and compete. Nowadays, if I, you've listened to if I go and find a local show, I'll have one person in my bracket. And I'm like, well, I'm not paying £50 here just to go and do this. Fight once. And likewise, it'll be someone I'll probably know.
When I could roll against someone that I haven't never rolled against at the gym. Just go to a different gym, cross train.
Exactly.
You get the same thing.
Exactly. I've got a bit of a terminology. I've called myself a gym gypsy.
Gypsy,
I just travel around all the time, like type of thing. But again, it's one of these things which I think where an off season would be better for everything, and not for people like, I don't know, ADCC not do something and IBJJF go, all right, well, we'll put it in a competition.
Now that you're not doing something, we'll do something.
Yeah, exactly. I think they should have an agreement to say, look, so if you look at any of the top level of sports of NFL, NBA, NBL type thing, they all have an off season, but they also have substitutes. Right? It's not as if you can tag team your brother and go like, yeah, you can take this one for me if that's all right.
No, for sure. Yeah, I agree.
And it's just one of these things which...
And that really will bring the sport to the level
that
it needs to be.
But it's one of these things which I think where there's too many different governing bodies with different agendas, that it's always going to be a bit of a struggle.
I mean, to be honest, like I was struggling with this disc injury all year, very lightly. And probably if I would have taken an off season, it would have healed. And if I would have competed in that one guy that I competed against before, who's number one, or honestly, after I did Combat Worlds, if I would have just taken an off season from Combat Worlds, which was in March, I could have taken May, could have taken June, could have taken July off, and then started training at the end of July, and then trained July, August, and then came back for October, then fought PJ in that tournament. But my back was so beat up, and I was just training through it, and then it just slipped mid-match, And I was just like, I'm done. I can't continue and fight Mika. And that was so sad, And it's things like that really stunted my career, because if I could have gone on and fought Mika, like it would have been so much more beneficial than fighting who's number one, before PJ, and then I forget the other tournament that I did, and then done those 2 tournaments. Those didn't do much for my career. They did, look at Andrew's being consistent, and he's winning consistently. But it's I really, I don't want to have to drop out because I'm injured.
No.
So yeah,
I got flashbacks obviously to that little that tournament you had obviously on Who's Number One.
Yeah.
And I watched it the following morning because obviously it was different time for us. And I'm like,
staying off at Instagram, not trying to see.
I was going through the matches and I was like, where's he gone? Like, what's happened to Andrew? Like, what?
Yeah, everyone. I got like hundreds of messages, and they're just like, some people were really negative, and some people were really cool. Yeah, some people didn't believe I was injured. Like, yeah, I mean, there's always people like that, you know. But they were like, oh, you scared of Mika? You don't want to fight Mika? You're injured. And they're like, you're not really injured. You just took the win from PJ and then said bye. And I was like, man, you're gonna make me cry. I was kidding. But no, and then some people are like, oh man, yeah, that really sucks. You know, I hope you get better. We want to see you fight Mika, so heal up and come back. And you know, Mika was so cool, man. Like I was backstage after fighting PJ in absolute scraps. I was seeing kind of stars, and I was like walking back, and I was like, oh man. So what basically happened is I bulged my disc. My disc has degeneration, and like a little bit. The levels are still even, but it has degeneration. So it's just sagging, not like shifting, which is good. And then I have like ever so slightly. They're called like I forget exactly what they're called, but they're just like super small hairline fractures in my spine, which are, my doctor was like, you don't have to be concerned about that. Those will heal. It's just the disc. You don't want to be fighting crooked. And so I was walking back and I felt like my spine like moving. Like, you know, you have an unstable knee. Like my spine kind of felt unstable, and it was like locking up on me. And I was just like, I'm tired. I'm gonna throw up. And I had a meal prep before, and so I kind of was throwing that. It was like 4 hours before too.
Gosh.
And I know that you're not supposed. You know, it takes like 6 hours to digest. And but I was so hungry. I kind of messed up when to eat because I slept in, and I like woke up and I was like, shoot, I gotta eat. And so I ate, and then because they have us fighting at like 8 o'clock, so you want to stay up really late and then sleep until about like noon. So you don't wake up at 9 a.m. and then you're tired when you're fighting. So I woke up at noon. And then I like got ready and I wasn't paying attention. I was like, oh shoot, it's like 3 o'clock. I gotta go eat. And so then I kind of threw up after the match, and my back was out. And I was like throwing up while my back was out.
No.
And so it like slipped it out even more because you like engage your core when you throw up. And so I like laid down. I was just like, I'm in terrible shape right now. And then my professor was like, Andrew, come on, get your head focused. We gotta fight Mika. And I was like, he's like, you're on in like 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. So I stood up and I like instantly fell back down. I was like, I can't stand. He's like, lay on your back. And then we had the Who's Number One massage artist and my brother's girlfriend, she's a muscle mechanic as well. And they were like loosening up my muscles. And I was like, I don't feel like I need to loosen up. I feel like I need to tighten up. And I was like, and so they like loosened me up and it made it worse.
Really?
So I'm hyper flexible.
Yeah.
And so I can't do yoga. Because if I do yoga, I go and lift and I hurt myself.
Really?
Yeah, or if I do yoga, I go and train, I hurt myself.
Wow.
Like I can't stretch before practice, I have to stretch after practice. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, like I can put my feet behind my head, I can do the splits. The only thing on me that's relatively tight is my shoulders. Except like my spine, my hips and everything is loose. So I was like backstage and I was like, I can't fight. I was like, I'm in such bad shape. I was like, I don't want to go against the number 2 guy in the world and in bad shape.
It's interesting you say this because if you look back at your history, right, of like the fights that you've had cuts, you've had knocks, you've got those. It's the one where you've got Mo gave you the cash, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you got your lip bleeding
so
and stuff.
up,
and you were just like, let's fucking go type thing.
Yeah, I felt good though. Like my body felt good.
And then it's just like you then hear that backstory because obviously from a viewer's point of view of watching,
they would have thought I still would have gone out there.
Yeah, and you'd be like,
I was wanting to still go out there.
Yeah.
Like, but my professor physically told me no. He was like, no, I'm not letting you. He was like, come on, Andrew, stand up. And I was like, okay, I gotta get warmed up. And I was like holding my breath. I was like, I feel kind of warm, so I'm just gonna sit here. And I was like, all right, I'm good. And then I was in my mind, I was like, man, I should not fight. I was like, but I'm going to. And then I stood up, my professor like, you're done. And he went and told him. I was like, no. And so I started crying, like all sad. Because I trained super hard for it, like super hard. And so I wanted to fight Mika. Mika beat me 2 years ago.
Really?
And so so I was like, man, I trained so hard. I just beat PJ. I feel really good. I can do this. I can have a good showing. But I didn't. Obviously, if I would have went out there, he would have made my spine worse and beat me. So it would have not.
He would have made you look like origami.
Yes,
in a horrible way.
Yeah. So I was like on the ground, and Mika came up to me. I was like, "Hey, man, I can't fight." You know, his first words were, he's like, "I wouldn't want to fight you at your worst." He's like, "I want to fight you at your best."
Warrior.
Right? Most people would have been like, "Let me take the free win." But he's like, "No, Andrew, I don't want you fighting. I would want to fight you at your best." He said, you heal up, do what you need to do to get better. He said, and we'll have a match in the future. He said, focus on yourself. And I was just like, I love you. Like such a cool guy. Same, and I felt bad. I went over to PJ, and he was still seeing stars too. And I was like, hey man, you gotta take my place. I was like, I'm physically can't fight. And he was like, really?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. So he wasn't in it. You know, his mind wasn't there.
Yeah, it's interesting. What a power, again, bit of a power move as well, because he wouldn't want to fight you, and for you to then potentially do the whole, I was injured, I was not the greatest player type thing.
Exactly.
So it works both well, but it reminds you that little moment of like, what is it? Obviously, what a warrior in the sense of like, did you see Jiri Prohaska versus Alex Pereira over the weekend? The stare.
Yeah.
It was just like, even Joe Rogan saying it's the most scariest scare.
Yeah, it was, man. They were just intimidating. Yeah.
So, oh man, that'll be interesting. I can't wait for obviously that to come back around again.
Yeah, I'm sure Mika and I will fight like, I mean, he ADCCs are in August, so we'll probably fight before ADCCs. You know, it's probably in like May timeline, because I have trials in March, and that's gonna be my first tournament back. If all goes well.
Yeah.
Because it's November. I'm gonna be resting the rest of November. Physio hard. I'm feeling really good actually now. Like I'm able to like flow roll with kids.
Nice.
And like working my way back into it. And then December will come. I'll probably start flow rolling with adults and building up more. And if I feel not ready, then I'm off. I don't want to stunt my career at all. But it's March, so I have the rest of November, December, January, February, March, and it's at the end of March. So I have loads of time. So that will probably be my first tourney back. And then depending on how I do in trials, which I'm in it to win it. So if I'm not feeling great, then I'm not doing it, because I don't want to stunt my career by not doing good. So I'm going out to trials. If I feel great, I'm winning it. And if I don't win, then I'll go back to scoring board, improve. And then I'll probably do like who's number one, Brazilian nationals, something like that. And then I'll probably have a match with Mika around there. Yeah.
That's interesting. Question for you then is we definitely have a stigma in the UK a little bit. I'm not saying I'm counting to everyone. There's some people who are, I don't know, part of the IBJJF fan club, and like that's all I want to do. I just want to compete in IBJJF, and that's all they want to do. And it's nothing to discredit them, but
I do anything.
Huh?
Anything. I do anything.
Yeah.
Anything that's best for Andrew.
And it's just interesting the fact that there seems to be not very, unless you get, I've always said this, right? If you hit the flying submission, right, you'll get on the IBJJF social media page.
For sure,
right?
Yeah.
But outside of them, you paying them money, right, there's not much more that's reciprocated. Whereas I feel that, hey, if you do a good performance at ADCC, right, or anything like that, or any other sort of sub-only competitions, they're going to elevate you in some sort of way.
Yeah, I agree.
And there definitely seems to be a shift now, especially with limitations within rule sets. So, again, some people close to me that are being promoted, I'm not saying intentionally from purple to brown belt, to be able to allow them to be able to demonstrate their full jiu-jitsu. They're landing in positions where, because of the legalities of IBJJF rule set at purple, they can't do heel hooks all of a sudden, or knee bars, and they're going, well, this is unfair because my ability is way much more further than this type of thing. So it seems to be a shift towards more sub-only competitions, more ADCC rule set, more that, and away from IBJJF type of thing. Is that the kind of stigma that's in the Americas as well?
Yeah,
at the moment,
for sure. America, I mean, people push for worlds and stuff, but it's going away for sure. I mean,
it's not as prestigious, I think, is basically what I'm trying to say in short. It just doesn't seem to be as...
I mean, nothing, I love IBJJF because I fought since I was like 5, like 8 in it. No, I fought in it since I was like 12 because I was doing like kids pans. So I love it because it brought me up. And it gave me experience. But apart from, if you're flying triangle, people pass their guards, or if you're winning absolute and stuff, like there's not much exposure to it at all. So, apart from getting the experience, I don't believe there's much, things, you don't get really paid at all.
You pay for the privilege.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you're in it to do it as a career, and if you're in it to make money, I would say, independent businesses like Grapple, Paul Aris, who's number one, other promotions like, what's the place in Quintet and stuff like that, like places that, that you can, people are excited for because it only happens like, a couple times a year, not where there's a tournament every single weekend. I believe that's where it's at, in my opinion.
It's interesting. Do you think there's a bit more of a bias towards the no-gi scene than the gi scene as well?
I mean, it's honestly just whatever brings up the most entertainment and the pay. Like if the pay was greater in gi, then I would do the gi. If the pay is greater in the no-gi, so I do the no-gi. So not really biased of any of them. I mean, I'm better in the no-gi because I train it more. I mean, if the pay was greater in the gi, I'd train gi more and I'd be better in the gi.
Go where the money is.
That's pretty much how it is for me. Not biased of any, just I compete in the gi more. I compete in the no-gi more, so I watch the no-gi more. I train the no-gi more, so biased over no-gi. But I still love the gi, but I just don't compete in it as much.
Nice. No, that's fair enough. Right, dude, I think we've been chatting for a good hour.
Yeah, man, time flies with good company, man.
Thank you, dude, appreciate it. We have a few questions that we kind of do, which is a staple for this. So I'll have to get you to ask a question for one of our next guests. So we get the previous guest to ask the question for that one. But the question that was given for the next guest that we got is UK based, so you won't understand the joke behind it, which is I'll lay it out, but it was, what would be your Tesco meal deal? Do you know what a meal deal?
Yeah.
You do know what a meal deal is?
Yeah, like what would you get at Tesco?
Yeah, so they have a special like selection of foods. It would be like a packet of crisps, a sandwich, and a drink. What would be your meal deal selection?
My meal deal that I've been getting at Tesco is I freaking love Tesco. It's like America HEB.
Oh, I love this.
And I love that they come in different shapes and sizes. There's like a little small gas station one. There's a big one. So what I've been getting at Tesco is I've been getting the curry and chicken microwave meal preps. And then I've been getting the protein bars and then the meal shake. And I just eat those all together. And then I get like 30 of those, and that's what I've been doing.
Nice, mate. I love that. Well, I'll get your secret question for the next guest, which will be Chris Thompson. So you get to you can think about exactly what it's going to be. But you don't have to say it now. You can do it after.
Sounds good.
The next one we got is a staple one, and I really like this personally. And it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu related; it could be life related as well. Okay. And which failure do you cherish the most?
One final sponsor shout out to the team at Inner Chimp. Inner Chimp is a brand name that really speaks to grapplers and fighters, one we can believe and relate to on a personal level. Inner Chimp is simply catchy, right? And with small tweaks can be your general gym wear and casual wear and rash guards like this for men, women and children. Inner Chimp is ethically produced and has turned down cheaper production overseas to ensure this. Understanding we only have one Earth, right, which we need to look after. This is at the forefront of their production decisions, and we want you, our listeners and viewers, to have a sense of accomplishment in knowing that you are doing your part when buying their products. Inner Chimp tees are 100% organic cotton. Their packaging, 80% recycled cardboard, and all of their products are designed to last. Their production and manufacturing is in the UK, trying and aiming to be as eco-friendly as possible, leaving close to zero global footprint. But to put it simply, Inner Chimp has a massive passion for the sport, attention to detail, and our planet in mind, and always at the forefront of your own Inner Chimp. Go check out their website, www.inner-chimp.co.uk, or go check out their Instagram at inner_chimp. Thank you for your time.
Which failure? Wow, that's a good one. I freaking love that. I'm gonna do it in life because jiu-jitsu and life, they correspond so much. As far as mine, hobbyist, not so much, but jiu-jitsu is my life. Which failure do I cherish the most and that I've grown most from? I would say pride, like letting pride be my downfall, being cocky and thinking I know it all. I cherish that the most, and I was very prideful back when I was like 16, 17. No one could tell me nothing. I mean, we all are kind of prideful still, but 16, 17, I went through a big stage where I was just like partying and I was just like wrecking my car all the time, like crashing because I was like not in the right mindset, and I just was messing up my life a lot. And I knew I was messing up my life. Everyone knows they're messing up their life, but they're too prideful to admit it to themselves, and they're too prideful to listen to others. And I cherish that the most. My dad sitting me down and basically saying like, I'm disappointed in you. You're called to greater heights, and I raised you up to be 10 times of the person you are right now. And I'm telling you this because I love you and I want to see the best things for you, not because it will help me out, but because it will help you out. And I cherish that the most because it just like changed my mindset. And I was like, my dad's disappointed in me. I was like, dang, I was like, that hurt. And, and that really like flipped the switch where I was like, dang, okay, I got to start, wanting to be better. And the only way I can be better is if I listen to people. And the only way I can listen to people is if I humble myself before them and take in what they have to offer. And so that's what I cherish the most, is giving up pride. And, it's a big one.
That's an awesome response, man. I think that will hit the note of a lot of people. And I think it will be interesting, especially as I think as jiu-jitsu is evolving and that we have new people coming up through as being sort of leaders and people to look up to, like yourself. There's going to be people who would have been similar age you are now and gone through the same sort of thing at 15 or 16 and stuff like that, and kind of think, oh, what would I have done, or what would Andrew done in that position? And to hear that, I think is very, again, fair enough for opening up about that.
Yeah, I have a lot of kids that message me on Instagram, and they come across very prideful, and I'm like, man, I don't want to talk to you. But I have kids that come across like super humble and super approachable, and I want to help them out instantly. So I just think the best way to be helped out is approach people with humility.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Final question for you, mate, which is, once it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, how do I want to be remembered as, obviously different than my brothers. I don't want to be the same person as them, but I freaking love my brothers. But I want to be remembered as the person that believed in something and stand for what he believed in. And that wasn't shaken by social media, wasn't shaken by the chaos of the world, and wasn't shaken and had peace with everything that he did. Just a very stand strong person in jiu-jitsu and in his beliefs.
Nice. Wicked. Any shout outs to sponsors or anything like that?
Yeah, shout out to Little Black, man. They helped me out so much. They elevate me so much. They help me out. He's a really cool guy. If you guys don't know his name is Clay. He lives out of California. He freaking helps me so much. Shout out to Fight Factory. My professor, Brukatu, his name is Rodrigo Cabral. Brukatu stands for caveman because he's like a caveman. He helps me out so much. He gives me so much advice. He has knowledge in so many different areas, and he just shares them with me. And, all of that, it's so good.
Nice, man. Any questions for me while I'm here or anything like that at all, or are you all good?
Where do you plan on taking your next steps in this podcast and in the sport? What's your future look like?
What does my future look like? What do I want to do with this podcast? I want this podcast to be known for bringing out this deep, dark conversations that people don't think should be talked about.
Yeah.
I think the weight cutting,
the sensitiveness that people don't like to.
Yeah, I think the weight cutting side of things has always been kept as a bit of a deep, dark secret that it shouldn't be talked about, and no one knows and should be. I think it needs to be openly more talked about, how to do things safely. Likewise with steroid usage within the sport, I think it's like, the best way I can describe it is like a safe sex talk, right? It's the idea that it's going to happen, yeah? We need to make sure that we are
doing it properly,
and we're not encouraging like people they simply just do it for the sake of it.
And just going overboard.
Exactly. And so where I have experience in other industries and other fields previously, and I've seen the life cycle of what's gone on with it, I'm like, okay, I don't want this to happen again to another sport, which I love dearly.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the case of being able to help as many people as possible, protect people as much as possible. And that's not to protect them in the sense that we're keeping them away from things. I just want to protect them because
give them the knowledge so that they can make the decision if they want to do it or not.
Exactly.
Because I think a lot of people do stuff is they're blinded and they think it's right.
Yeah, and I think there's people within the sport that are at the top of the industry, and I don't know if it's a facade or whatever, but I think they just don't understand their word can impact so many people quite easily. And I think to the point of, even on a more local scene, not even on a big like social media platform or anything like that, that the person at the top of the tree, the instructor, their actions will be viewed by everyone else in the club, and it will impact them in a certain way. And I think we need to be more aware of it, and I think we just need to make sure that, hey, we're on the same level. So
that's good. Passion. Yeah. If someone has passion in what they say, people listen.
Yeah, and that's what I want to try to get across. And I think by speaking to you guys, hearing those conversations come up, saying that, hey, I went up in weight and thinking about I was fighting my bulking weight and it was a bit of an error type of thing, but also I actually went to a nutritionist to get a meal plan or a dieting procedure to get me on weight and not be doing 12 pounds on the week of a fight type thing.
Yeah, and I think it's more so for girls. Girls have a hard time cutting weights. Yeah, I feel sorry for girl athletes, man. Yeah, so much. Because we have a bunch of girl athletes that are at a high level, and they just don't have the same opportunity, and they just have a harder time doing everything. Cutting weight, gaining muscle and not fat, and being healthy because their bodies don't respond to injuries the same as male bodies. So yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for girl athletes, but the ones that do it, mad respect, you know.
It's hard, especially for females, and I think again, it's just trying to get, because jiu-jitsu is evolving at a very fast rate, I just want to make sure the support from every aspect, be that S&C, be that training, be that nutrition, is all of the best standard, and it's not going to be set back apart
for sure
because of poor misinformation, basically.
For sure. I mean, I think you can be the best if you just are training the best and eating the best. You don't even have to be blessed naturally. You can just be doing everything right and not even be the most technical and still win.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in jiu-jitsu right now. Once jiu-jitsu reaches that level where they're all doing everything the best, then you have to be technical.
Well, this is, sorry, we're going on a bit of a tangent, so we're going to wrap this up. It's an interesting topic, right? Being in Liverpool, right? Obviously, everyone knows about Paddy the Baddy, right? And it's the interesting thing that when you look at the top level of the UFC guys, right, MMA guys, that they know how to weight cut safely now. They've got loads of really good, reputable people around them, okay? And they all train really well to a high standard. And now it's like, okay, well, what's it like post-fight now? And that's where people are starting to hone in on saying, like, and you've got people like, let's say Michael Chandler. I'll take a week off, back into it now. And their diet's back on point straight away. Their training's back on point. Their diet and their training isn't the case of like, I'm waiting for the next fight. They're learning to get their health and recovery up to the optimal level and not letting it just sit there for 3 or 4 months getting really overweight. Unfortunately, like Paddy, as he does, obviously
he enjoys it though.
He enjoys it and he owns it, which is fine. But it then puts them in a better circumstance that next time round for the weight cut to happen more easily.
I just don't like getting fat personally. And I don't like being unhealthy. So my diet for off training camp is basically the same as training camp, except for being very particular.
Particular.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But
like I'll have a donut here and there, or I'll have some yogurt and not pay attention what's in it, like the sugar and all that, but I'll still eat clean food.
Oh, do you know, I've just thought of some actually good questions actually just come up in my head I normally ask. Sorry, man, I'm going to ask these now.
What's up?
So you get your hand raised and obviously you've got your win at whatever match that could be. Could be on WNO, could be on Grapple Fest, anything like this. What is the post-competition meal?
Pizza.
Yeah?
It's always pizza.
Always pizza?
Yeah, always pizza.
What's the toppings?
It's easiest to find is pizza. And right after a tournament, I just want to eat immediately and everything. And just like, because after a tournament, usually you're tired. You're like, oh. And then you have that adrenaline dump. So I just want to go someplace quick, quiet, and eat a lot with my team who I love. So it's always pizza joints. Pizza joints are everywhere. So it's just like.
What's the pizza order though? What is it?
So I'm very picky eater, but I've changed recently. So I prefer like a margarita pizza with like peppers. And then I love to get, I forget the cheese that they have on it. I think it's
mozzarella?
Yes, the one that it's the one that expands and gets really, they're like circles of cheese. It's like provolone, not provolone. It's something.
Yeah, I mean
that cheese, I get extra of that.
And
then I add bacon to the margarita. So the margarita with like peppers, extra cheese that expands, and bacon.
Nice.
That's my go-to, yeah.
Cool. What's a unpopular jiu-jitsu opinion that you have?
Unpopular jiu-jitsu opinion on like what? Anything?
Just anything. I can give you your brother's response. I asked him this time he was like in Grapple Fest. Do you want me to tell you what he said? Or
what did he say?
You don't have to train at the best gym in the world to be the best athlete.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good. That's a super unpopular. Wow, that was a good response. I would say mine is you have to be the best outside of the gym and inside of the gym if you really want to enjoy the sport of jiu-jitsu. Like, it's hard if you're like being the best in the gym, and then if you're just a douchebag out of the gym and not just like a mean person, but douchebag, just do everything wrong. You're never gonna fully enjoy the rewards of jiu-jitsu. But like being good in and out of the gym, it's just like it's all the good that jiu-jitsu brings. You just enjoy it so much more.
Fair. I like that one. Right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Thank
William
you
gave a
so
better
much.
response, though, man. You don't have to be the best and to train at the best gym. So true.
It's true. Like I said, he gave it off the bat as well, as if he had it pre-rehearsed.
William definitely believes in that.
Yeah. It's guys, let's be honest, like you are bringing up some fucking awesome names out of the gym every day, so you can't really dismiss that in the slightest bit. Do you know what I mean? So I can't wait to see you guys next compete and stuff. And obviously I've got your brothers tomorrow, which is good. So yeah.
Let's go. Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.